All right, well, let's continue with our leading story where the expulsion of South Africa's ambassador to the United States has sparked a wave of reactions from various political leaders and organizations across South Africa. Some have even expressed strong disapproval, calling the move an unjustified interference in the country's sovereignty, while others have called for calm as well as diplomatic engagement in order to resolve the current impasse. SABC News reporter Kailihle Khumalo is standing by with the Minister of International Relations, Ronald Lamola, on the latest developments in the United States. Kailihle, good afternoon. It's over to you.
Well, absolutely, quite a very unprecedented step from the United States of America. Alicia, as you know, that obviously South Africa's ambassador being booted out from Washington, D.C., Ibrahim Rasool, and you just know from the outset that he really went there to really make sure that South Africa and the USA continue to work together, given the very significance of these ties. But really just to gauge more reaction, we're joined by Minister Lamola for the International Relations and Cooperation. So, Minister, just your fleeting reaction to these developments.
Yeah, indeed, it's a regrettable incident, as you have said, unprecedented, because in normal diplomatic relations, it should have been a demarche to engage with the ambassador on the comments that he has made, and then take it from there on both countries. But it has happened. We have now to follow all the diplomatic protocols and processes to facilitate the smooth return of Ambassador Rasool to South Africa and work on the transition on this matter. It is also regrettable because he was at a very advanced stage to prepare for the special envoys, to reset the relations and so forth. But we are now where we are. We have to work with what we have, and that is what we'll continue to do, because we believe the relationship between the two countries is mutually beneficial. It is strategic. It has to be maintained. The issues that we have with each other, we need to find time to engage with each other behind closed doors, where the US can raise their concerns with us, and we can also raise our concerns with them, because it is not helpful to engage in Megaphone and Twitter diplomacy. But we have to engage with each other on face-to-face on various issues of mutual concern.
Minister, obviously, I mean, we saw during the State of the Nation address where the President emphasized the issue of sending the envoys to engage with South Africa's key trading partners, including the US itself, especially given the fact that South Africa is presiding over the G20. With these developments coming from Washington, D.C., where does that really put that plan now?
Yeah, remember that also has to be prepared for by Ambassador Rasool, and he was working very hard to prepare for that, to prepare the ground for that. So this has scuttled all those. So obviously it's back to the drawing board to look into how do we transition into that. And as you have said, to engage with many countries of the world. During our foreign ministers' meetings, we have engaged with many countries across the globe, Canada, China, Russia, Saudi Arabia, all the countries across the globe that are important for our trading relations. We have also seen on Friday the President has hosted the European Union. We had a summit with the European Union where groundbreaking decisions were made with regards to investment in our country, with regards to beneficiation at source, and also with regards to cooperation at various multilateral platforms. So the relationship with the US, we think that we still have to continue to engage, open the lines of diplomatic engagements, because as you have said, it's a very important trading partner. About 601 countries invested in our country that are creating more than 100,000 jobs in South Africa. So the relationship has to be handled delicately from both sides. And they are not only we are not only benefiting from American companies, but also the American economy is also benefiting from companies from South Africa invested in the American economy. More than 6,000 jobs that are created by companies from South Africa that are invested in the American economy. So it is important that the relationship is handled with care and with delicacy. It's unfortunate that we are on the receiving end in terms of the tweets that are not helping to mend the relationship. But as South Africa, we think it is strategic. It is important for the G20, for the global standing, and also for trade. But we think that we will not compromise on our principles and values that are enshrined in the Constitution, the values of the shared values that we have with the U.S., including the important imperative that the Constitution says we need to do in terms of transformation for our country to reflect the demographics of South Africa. There is no minority group that can force that such be compromised. And we're happy that there is a lot also of Afrikaners in our country who have said it should not be done in our name. Our Constitution provides for a platform for us to resolve whatever issues we have in our country, and we will resolve them here. And in South Africa, we're open to that engagement in South Africa. And an executive order that calls for Afrikaners to leave to go to another country, that is also interference in the sovereign, in another sovereign country. So these are issues that obviously will need behind-the-scenes engagement to sort them out with the U.S., but we will remain firm in our foreign policy positions, which are informed by our Constitution and our domestic policies.
Minister, obviously we've seen some groupings, the likes of Solidarity, AfriForum, going to the US, having those engagements with the high-ranking officials. I mean, surely, what's South Africa's standing in terms of those groupings? I mean, we saw a very stern message from the president saying it's better to resolve these issues internally as opposed to just going outside and reaching to the US.
Yes, South Africa's foreign policy is in the province of the executive, which is led by the president. He is the supreme diplomat of the Republic of South Africa. Even ourselves, when we go out of the country, we are sent by him. He sends myself, he sends also other ministers when it relates to their areas of work, if it's agriculture, if it's energy, and so forth. So there can be no one who can go out of the country to portray himself as a correct representative of South Africa when representing a minority. We represent all South Africans. We have to continue to build our nation all together. So there is no minority group that can represent anyone. Even a political party, even if it's in the GNU, cannot claim to or portray itself to be representing all South Africans. Only the national executive has got that mandate. So we have to continue to build social cohesion, to build our nation, to engage with the world as South Africa Incorporated.
And obviously, Minister, are you planning to perhaps reach out to your counterpart, Mr. Marco Rubio, anytime soon?
Yes, we will continue to open that line of engagement with Mr. Rubio, and we are looking forward to an engagement which we believe is very important for the strategic relations of the two countries, and we can build from there. As I've said, we are the troika of the G20. We also participate in various international platforms like the United Nations and other important fora that are important for the multilateral situations in the global in geopolitics. So we don't really subscribe to unilateralism where there's one dominant over the other. We believe that multilateral platforms remain important, and we believe that in bilateral relations there is an important platform of engagements which is through the diplomatic channels, which remains open between Pretoria, Tshwane and Washington.
Minister, before I let you go, next week we know that obviously SADC and EAC, the engagement with that conflict in the DRC, maybe just your comment on that, and maybe just your expectations, especially given the very volatile situation that's currently unfolding in the eastern parts of Congo.
Yeah, is that we will continue to engage and be seized with the situation. It's a follow-up meeting from the meeting we had in Dar es Salaam, where it was said that we need to meet again within 30 days to assess progress since that time, where we had sent the chiefs of the defense forces and also the two organs of the two communities, SADC and the East Africa one, to start and initiate the processes, and also to call for the reinitiation or the restarting of the Luanda process that is aimed to engage all the warring factions. So we're going to take stock, and we're looking forward to that engagement that will take stock and take us forward in relation to finding long-lasting peace in the Eastern DRC.
Before I let you go, Minister, such a very good initiative, talking about global issues with the communities here. I mean, tell us more about this. Surely this is quite a welcome step.
Yes, it is. I mean, it should not be seen by communities that the issues of international relations only belongs to the beautiful buildings of Herendal in Cape Town, Tennis, and the Union Building. But communities here needs to know that the issues of climate change, they are aware, they already affect them. When we speak at G20, we speak about such issues of skills development. When companies invest in our country, they invest, they come to a local municipality, they come to a community. So it needs to find them ready, our young people, to participate in those skills development, the new skills, coding, artificial intelligence, and so forth. So it was exciting to know that there is a community initiative here on skills development. So it is indeed something that we look forward to spread across the country, to engage with everyone so that they don't think that international relations is something on air, is not something impacting them directly on the day-to-day of their lives.
All right, Minister, thank you so much indeed for your time. So Alicia there, Minister Lamola, really talking about an array of issues, but of course in the main, the focal point is around South Africa, United States bilateral relations in light of that very extraordinary step by Washington, D.C. to call for South Africa's ambassador to leave the United States. Obviously, quite a lot of work there just lying ahead for South Africa and the U.S. to really mend these ties and be able to reset these diplomatic relations. So with that, back to you in studio.